Godzilla, King of the Monsters, or Godzilla, whatever you prefer. So before you're all like, the reason I chose this to be my number 10 out of my top 10 is because, well, first of all, it's not my favorite. It's one of my top 10 favorites, but I guess it's because I really got into the having more than one monster, so it's not always just Godzilla on his own. So I feel like that's what was missing from this film. But at the same time, this film is pretty much perfect the way it is. It's the origins of Godzilla, telling us the story of who he is, what he's doing, and setting us up for the next couple of movies to come. So it's a beautiful movie. I would totally recommend it to somebody. But yeah, it's basically number 10 on my list. Now for number 9, it's Return of Godzilla or 1985 or Godzilla 1984, depending on, I guess, the country that you're in. So basically, this one I chose as my number 9 because I do like it more than the original. But man, this console just scared the crap out of me when I was a little kid. I mean, he's all freaky with like the animatronic stuff going on in his face and stuff, and it's more of like a darker, grittier reboot of Godzilla, even though it's basically taking place after the original, disregarding all the other ones that came after the original. So it's a really cool film. Kind of gets Godzilla back to his like evil origins, I guess, and it's totally enjoyable. So yeah, that's number 9. Now, for number 8, I chose Godzilla 2000. And the reason I chose that one is because this one kind of holds like a special place in my heart, I would say. Because, I mean, it was released in America, so it was really cool to go and see this theater at the theater that my dad works at and be like, I don't even think I was 5 at the time. I think I was going to be 5, but wasn't just quite there yet. So it's always going to have that little special place in my heart. But I also thought it was really cool how it was like, it gave you the introduction to a new monster, Orga, but at the same time it was kind of keeping that, hey, this is Godzilla, kind of like Origins, but not really, because I think it was another one of those films where it's disregarding all the other ones and it's like more of a direct sequel to the original. But yeah, this one's really cool. I like how it introduces a new monster, but also kind of keeping that Godzilla feel. So yeah, that's basically it. Now, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. This one's really cool because I like how Toho decided to grab a lot of their monsters and kind of like throw them into one movie. I mean, you still have a couple that they only make like brief little cameos, but it's still cool to see them here and there. And it's also kind of funny when you think about it that back in the 70s, I think that's when this movie was made, back in the 70s, they assumed that like 1999 we'd be like so far in technology and everything. I mean, really, we're not. Here we are, like what, the year 2015, and I mean, Back to the Future 2 takes place this year. Where's my flying hoverboard and where's my flying car, you know? But yeah, this one's really cool. I like the whole entire story with how the aliens are coming down and they're using King Ghidorah, Godzilla's most classic, famous enemy, to fight all the monsters. So it's like a really cool monster rumble match at the end of the movie. Now, Godzilla Mothra Battle for Earth, I believe that's what the film is called. This one, I don't really know why it's one of my favorites, other than when I was younger and I had the Godzilla movies on VHS tapes. I always found this one being the one that I would often like watch the most out of the Heisei series, and I don't know. I don't know if it was Mothra, Batra, the little fairy twins, or if it was like the song or whatever. But it just something about it. I guess that it was just one of my favorites. I like the human characters. I thought it had a really good story to it and everything. And just overall, I think that's probably one of the best Godzilla movies in my opinion. Like I said, this is my list. So yeah, basically, Godzilla, Mothra, Battle for Earth. Probably should include Batra's name in there, but whatever. So that's that. And Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Now, this one is really cool because this is like the first movie that introduces Mechagodzilla, Godzilla's other kind of like most recurring enemy. So this is pretty cool because it's the origin story to Godzilla, and it's really cool to see Godzilla fighting like a mechanical Godzilla. And then you also have King Caesar, this lion god creature thing, kind of looks like a poodle. It's pretty badass though, so it's thrown in there. So it was really cool to see like not really three, but two new monsters. One fighting with Godzilla, one fighting against Godzilla. That's basically a mechanical Godzilla. And Mechagodzilla is just one of my favorite out of the kaiju. So it was a really cool movie, really fun movie. I mean, there's singing in that one too, so you just got to check it out. Now, Godzilla GMK, or I guess that's if you want to extend that, that would be Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah Monsters All Out Attack, or I don't know. Let's just call it GMK, the short abbreviation. So this one's really cool because it's like a retelling of the whole entire Godzilla. It's another direct sequel to the original, and it's just interesting to kind of have like a role changing in a way to where now Godzilla's the bad guy. I mean, he's been the bad guy in other films, but now you have King Ghidorah as one of the good guys, which that's like really cool. They kind of change his origins, make him more of like a ancient guardian dragon of the earth, and you also have like Mothra thrown in there. You have Baragon, which kind of sucks because Baragon's in there, but he's not even like cool enough to be mentioned in the title, I guess. Well, I mean, he does die kind of around the beginning, but still, got to give the guy some credit. But yeah, it's a really cool movie. I like how it kind of has. It's kind of like another dark, grittier, rebootish sequel. But it's really cool. I think it has like a really beautiful soundtrack too. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Now, Godzilla 2014. This one really surprised me because I mean when I first heard that Legendary Pictures was gonna be doing a Godzilla movie, I was kind of iffy. I mean I'm always on board for it because I mean Godzilla's like freaking amazing, right? But it it kind of surprised me how good it was. I mean I had small complaints about it like how Godzilla was kind of teased around a lot, but I mean, they wanted to keep the big reveal a big reveal, so it was pretty cool. But even then, once they reveal him, they're kind of just like teasing you with him showing his tail, his legs, and all that. But I kind of liked how it was another kind of like darker, grittier reboot. I mean, the human people were kind of human characters were kind of boring. Sometimes they weren't, but most of the time they were boring. But other than that, I thought it was a really good build up to the end of the movie where Godzilla finally kicks the kaiju's ass and all that. And just the moment that he does that fire breath, that's so freaking cool. So overall, it's a really good movie. I think that in the two future sequels, because I believe it's confirmed for a trilogy, I think that they should show more Godzilla since we kind of already know what he looks like now. So when they make those sequels, I'm definitely going to go see it. This is definitely a way to reboot it for the American side of the world. So, yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. Now, Godzilla vs. Destroyer. This movie is really cool because it was kind of like the send off, I guess, of Godzilla after his, I think it was like his 40th year anniversary or something like that. And I mean, I can't say, oh, I was in America and I heard like stuff about the news. That's how big it was because I mean, I was too young. I mean, I don't even think I was born yet. I mean, it was the same year that I was born, but I think the movie came out before I was born. But yeah, this one's really cool. I mean, you have like Godzilla, which is basically he's gonna explode because of the radiation that created him. It's like this ticking time bomb that's gonna like take out the world. It's pretty dramatic and like overdoing it, but it's still a really cool story. Then you have your Godzilla Jr., which finally looks like Godzilla. And then you have Destroyer, which Destroyer is one of my favorite enemies because of just how evil and creepy he looks. And it's also that creepy scene where they're all of the little crab destroyers all running around like killing people. I mean, overall, it's a good movie, and watching it, and then when you see Godzilla die at the end, it's kind of sad because I mean, you kind of when you were growing up during that, you just grew up seeing like Godzilla and everything, and then when you see him die, you're pretty sad. But then the one thing that's kind of dumb, I think, is that it's ultimately it's the military that takes down Destroyer. It's not really Godzilla. I mean, he gets his ass kicked by Godzilla and Godzilla Jr., but it's the military. So I mean, I guess after so many films, it's finally about damn time that the military did something helpful. But yeah, so that's Godzilla versus Destroyer. Alright, now I know a lot of people don't really like Godzilla Final Wars, but I mean, this is honestly my favorite, and here's the reason why. The reason why this movie is my favorite is because I see it as like everything that the little boy fan of Godzilla has like going on in his head, and they just got all those ideas and threw it into one film. Because this film, I mean, honestly, it's pretty crazy at times. I mean, you got the freaking Matrix fighting between the mutants and stuff, and then even you got like that scene where Godzilla's playing soccer with Anguirus as the ball, and he's playing with like King Caesar and Rodan. I mean, that scene's pretty funny, but it's a cool scene overall. And it was just really cool because this movie has so much crazy crap going on that, I mean, trying to explain the whole entire movie in a couple of minutes is like trying to explain quantum physics or something like that. It's kind of impossible. So but yeah, I really love how the story was. I mean, I can see how it's really cheesy and stuff. I mean, hey, I like cheesy, and it was when I first saw this movie when I was like 10. I thought it was like the best movie ever. So and overall, the fight scenes were awesome. The rubber suit Godzilla monsters all fight each other, and I really like how they introduced Monster X. I mean, he's this totally badass looking monster skeleton type thing, and then right when Godzilla's about to defeat him, you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. But then Toho's like, hey, look what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring back the most classic villain, and then he ends up transforming into King Ghidorah or like a Kaiser Ghidorah, whatever you want to call it. And then from there, it just gets so freaking cool. So yeah, it was really cool to end Godzilla's 50th year anniversary. So and I guess that yeah, now Toho is planning on creating more Godzilla movies. First one coming out in 2016, so I can say I'm pretty excited for that.